The views and opinions expressed by this program's hosts, guests, listeners, and viewers are solely the views and opinions of the original source who expresses them. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of TV5 Network Incorporated, its subsidiaries and affiliates, and their respective stockholders, directors, officers, and employees.
Sounding off from Los Angeles, the undisputed king of podcasting, who's all about the good times, Mo Twister. Representing New York City, a social media monster and co-creator of the Not Bill Walton Twitter feed, Chris Savage. All the way from Sydney, Australia, a basketball media veteran and unapologetic cultural critic, Bradford Graham. Holding it down from Manila, a seasoned sportscaster with the studio skills to pay the bills, Gino Rufino. This is Full Court Report.
All right, welcome to the Full Court Report. It is another episode of our show. Glad to be here. Glad to have you guys here. My name is Mo. On my left here is Brad. We're on the West Coast. On the East Coast over there is Chris Savage in New York City. In studio, Gino Rufino, Metro Manila, Philippines. Fellas, let's do it. 4 quarters, 12 minutes each. I got point guard duties here for quarter number 1, so let's get that time on the clock. And let's talk about, oh, look, surprise, surprise, Golden State Warriors, baby.
Yes. The story of the season.
You're right. And with
the story.
They had a 67% chance coming into tonight's game against Utah, which they are currently in overtime with a tied up at 93. If they win tonight, they have an 80% chance of surpassing the Bulls' best record of all time in a regular season. If they lose tonight, I think it drops down to about 44%. So, this is clearly a huge game for them if they still have the eyes on that prize. Now, Tony Parker announced, was it yesterday, that Pop will likely rest starters for both Warrior games. Man, making the road to this happen look really, really good for Golden State. So I just want to kind of ask you guys again, maybe this is the 5th time I've asked, as we get closer to this immense record, where are we with the Warriors being the best team of all time? How do you hardcore nostalgic guys like you, Chris, what's the new excuse? What's the new excuse for the Warriors not being the best single season team ever? Again, I'm going to go back to a tweet. Earlier this season, you said the 85, 87, 88, 2000, 2001, 02, 09, and 2010 Lakers and the Bulls of 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, and 98, all better than the Warriors of 2015, 16.
Right.
Where are you now? Are you finally going to say, hey, listen, this team is the best of all time. They're the second best of all time. I mean, they've accomplished the trifecta, the triple crown, the perfect storm, whatever you want to call it, of season accomplishments with best record ever. They can very much in play for that. They have the undefeated home record, and they have the best start ever, which is already locked in and good to go.
Yeah, I think they're a top 4 or 5 team in my lifetime, or at least since I've been watching basketball. Maybe top 3. Can they be the greatest of all time? Maybe at the end of the season. And if they win the title, I'll reevaluate it and say they are. But I would say top 5
Chris,
team in my lifetime.
How do you feel about them being the greatest regular season team to ever in the NBA's
Hardware's
70
there.
years? If they can remain undefeated,
I'm not opposed to it. They would have to pass the Bulls, but yeah, sure, I'm not opposed.
Right, so they would have to. So my point is this, Chris. I will happily, acknowledge that they're the greatest regular season team ever, only if they get all 3 things. They have the first one, which is the best start ever, the 25 wins. If they can go 41 at home and beat the Celtics home run of 40-1 from the 86 team, which is one of the greatest teams ever assembled, and if they can somehow get to 73, which then trumps the Bulls, I think then I will happily say these Warriors are the best regular season team.
Why is the home record necessary for you to say that they are the best? If they get the best record,
well, because they're going to knock off the 2 greatest teams in my opinion, which is the 86 Celtics and the 96 Bulls. If they can knock off both of those teams in one foul swoop, then I'm happily to say the 2016 version of the Warriors is the best regular season team we've ever seen.
You know what's crazy?
So if they wait, hold on. If they surpass the Bulls, but they lose at home to San Antonio or whatever, then who's the best of all time?
Well, no, I'm saying then maybe it's a 3-way tie for the best because they each have something over the other. But
I mean,
they need to get all 3 of those records.
Regular season record is calling some of the best. This helps their case, but I don't know. I don't know if they're better than the 2001 Lakers. I'm really not sure if they are. They might not be, but the Lakers rested a lot, or Shaq didn't take certain regular season games serious. But I don't know if they're better than the 2001 Lakers. They're probably not. They probably are really close, though.
You know what's strange to me though, guys, is that we're talking about regular season. I mean, it's
I know.
I don't think in the history of the game that we've ever focused so much on the best regular season.
That's because, Gino, we've never seen a regular season like this.
Exactly to
Right,
my
we've
point.
seen it
though.
once
Like
before.
they're forcing us.
Well,
They're
actually, we
forcing
haven't
us to
seen it,
care
right.
this much.
Yes.
When Jordan returned from baseball, and then the next year went on to win 72, which no one thought was even possible.
amazing,
We were all like,
amazing.
the regular season now matters more than it ever mattered before because Jordan's the one doing it. Now, because we all have varying opinions on Steph and what he means to basketball and how he's changing certain styles of the game and introducing new ways to do things, all of a sudden we're trying to adjust in the present, moment by moment, on how we should be relating and contextualizing and implementing all of this Warriors stuff. Now,
Right.
it's all unprecedented. The start of the season, unprecedented. The 41-0 home streak. If they get there, unprecedented. The 73 wins, unprecedented.
Dude, all the records have regular season stamps on
So-
all of them.
so
MVPs,
it's-
scoring titles. That's all regular season stuff. To disregard it is foolish.
No, and right, and that's why, Chris, I'm saying I'm not ready to concede this is the best team ever because we
No,
have not
I
seen them
understand.
perform in the playoffs yet. It's just a regular season stance for me. For me.
So, Mo, let me ask you this. If the Spurs beat the Warriors in this playoffs and win a title, are they the greatest team of all time?
No, because I'm taking into consideration.
Wait, why not? They're
the-
beating a team that you're saying is the greatest all team of all time.
Are you going to let
They're
me answer,
beating
or
them.
am I going to? I'm going to say two words, and then you're going to tell me why not? Because I was actually about to tell you why not. So let me know when you're ready to hear the why not.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Again, I am taking into consideration the entire regular season. I mean, it is a long. We complain about the length of the schedule.
marathon.
They've clearly dominated in every aspect, as their individual star has, as well as team. They've knocked down records. They've been able to do it. I think if the Spurs beat the Warriors, I still think they're the greatest regular season team of all time.
Okay, so we're not
That's
saying regular
That's what he
season.
said. Regular
okay,
season.
we're
right.
saying regular
now,
season.
Now,
We're getting to
again,
that. So I
the
mean, what
champ-
Brad is saying, there's credence to that we can qualify regular season. Okay, so
Yes.
we can't call it. So if we're ready to call this team the greatest of all time, and the Spurs beat them, then you would have to say the Spurs are the greatest of all time. It's just logic.
Right, and if we say that they don't get to the 73, then clearly they're not the best team of all time, right? But they have an 80% chance. They look like they're going to win in Utah right now, so it's going to jump up to 80% chance. They're undefeated at home. They have the home court advantage throughout the playoffs. So let's assume if they do in fact win the championship, this Warriors team, greatest of all time.
Chris, I'm like you. I'm not one who's going to just basically hand over something temporary. I don't have like modern day bias or whatever. Like I still in my heart, obviously adore what Michael Jordan did in 96, and I still love the 2001 Lakers, and I think the 86 Celtics and a number of other teams, even the 91 Bulls. Like these teams are all incredible, almost unbeatable sort of teams. And they all had their vulnerabilities and all had their strengths. But if the Warriors get the three separate records and
Plus
do
the
it in today's right. Well, no, I'm saying regular season because we can't discuss that stuff yet. Well, playoffs we'll discuss in the playoffs. But right now, regular season team, they're better than all those other teams we mentioned for the reason that they're gunning for it, they're hungry for it, they want it. They've been able to do a number of statistical things that might
young
not be
team, but
replicated.
the youth of this team
regular
has to
season
What
only.
happens
Regular
if the
season
team
only.
wins 71 games? Why can't this team still be the greatest of all time? Why not?
Because Brad's criteria for being labeled this are three things, and that is, again, the best regular season record of all time, the undefeated home record, and the best start ever, which they, of course, already locked in. So those are his criteria. We all
Get
have
those
different
three
criteria.
things.
We
Get
all
those
have
three
different-
things, and I'll call them the greatest
Maybe,
regular
maybe,
season
I,
team ever.
maybe I need the
on
longest
getting
winning
specific
streak of all
Wait,
time.
wait. One
Specific
other thing
numbers, but
I would
okay.
add to this. Though one other thing I'd like to add about the Warriors is that it's kind of like they're kind of like a throwback team in the sense that they haven't really taken nights off. I mean, they know that the
Right, that was
That's-
Michael Jordan's legacy.
Exactly.
No, everyone who
Exactly.
comes to the arena.
They came to play. They came to play every single night, and
Every
they
night.
treated
Every night.
to a certain extent, they treated every opponent like they were gonna they owned them, like they were gonna beat them. Except for a few mishaps here and there. Obviously, that's forgivable with the schedules and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I mean, that to me, that's the greatest thing. That's the biggest factor why this team is so great because they actually took every single
They
game
really care.
seriously,
They really care.
and they went
They
for it.
really want to break these records.
We've
There's a
seen
bunch of young guys who want the history.
we've seen those other teams that went on to win championships, that went on to have good regular seasons, take nights off. but these guys don't, and that to me is really special, and that's why
they're
considered
super talented as hell, and they're up by 8 right now or 10, whatever, in overtime. So it looks like 80% chance to get there.
They're going to win. It's less than a minute left. All right, here, let me give this quick Steph stat because I love giving Steph stats, and let's move on to another topic. Steph obviously legit shot at 400 3-pointers this season. 400.
Oh!
I mean, he freaking did 300, and we're like, oh my god, I've never seen that before. He has a chance for going 400. He's on pace for it. He's hit over 5 or more tonight, so he's right on pace for that if he plays his ass off. But he's changed the landscape of this point guard position. And here's another announcement made yesterday that I think even changes things further. Jason Kidd yesterday said that Giannis Antetokounmpo will be the starting point guard for the Bucks next season, which makes him at 6'11", I believe, the tallest point guard, with official position designation in NBA history. Right. Now, at 6'11", are we, at a 6'11" point guard, are we finally ready to throw out these positional designations out? I mean, the all-NBA teams, the all-star games, all of these things are going to be affected, right? Giannis is going to play point guard, and it's not like their point guard's going to be guarding him. Mike Conley's not going to be guarding Giannis. Jose Calderon's not going to be guarding Giannis.
Well, Steph Curry's not going to be guarding him.
Sure. Now, of course, we've seen LeBron as the point guard of his teams for the past few years.
Right.
But he's still in the running for forward honors. And we've talked about all NBA teams in these past few episodes. So I think Giannis is really the tipping point. When you have a near 7-footer being designated as the playmaker, the quote-unquote point guard, boy, I think it's time to just throw these things out.
It's disruptive.
I think the tipping point more was Steph and Russell Westbrook, but you're absolutely right about Giannis. This could really push it to a whole nother level of, what is a position? How do you define it? And I think we've been moving toward that for a while now, and I want to throw out the NBA All-NBA team anyway. I think it's a joke to pick specific positions, including making sure you have at least one center. So I'm all for that.
I completely agree. I remember talking in length with Coach Spo and actually LeBron about this positionless basketball that the NBA has sort of been
I like the fact that you mentioned Spo before LeBron, because it's like Spo's opinion matters more.
He's Filipino, man.
The reason why I said Spo's name first because I spoke to him first, and then following.
Okay, you're just being polite. Okay, I'm with you.
And then I spoke to LeBron about it, and LeBron said the reason why they did the positionless basketball was because of LeBron. Because Spo said was because of LeBron. So there's
right. People forget that, right? That like when Miami was gunning for those titles, it was LeBron at point, Dwayne Wade and Ray Allen on the wings, and then Bosch and whoever else, Battier or whatever inside. And so they never had anything resembling a traditional team.
Yeah, so I mean,
right. But I think this is cartoonishly large now.
No, this is another step.
Yeah, at some point
this
we now
it to
just
a whole new level.
This is the tipping point.
Yeah.
With Magic Johnson at 6'9", and you had Penny Hardaway 6'7", guys like that. We're like, oh, okay, well, this is really kind of cool and different and unique.
They were oddities,
right? But now it's like, come on, guys, this is ridiculous. You got 6'11" point guard already. It's time to get away with these positional designations.
So basically, the All-Star voting, the All-NBA voting should now be just the best players in the NBA and forget about positions.
Sure.
Or just front court, back court. I mean, I think that's the best way. Like, don't they do that now for All-Star voting? Front court, back court. Just more generalized. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that we've been given, against these positional, status to these players. And unlike baseball, football, even soccer, I mean, these guys are much more free-flowing. I mean, the sport of basketball doesn't require anymore for these guys to have these listings, but yet we're all sort of weirdly beholden to them. And if Giannis plays point, if that actually happens, I think the game of basketball as we know it ceases to kind of be this regular feature.
I really think he's going to be kind of that tipping point, that climax, the one that goes, all right, guys, it's
But if they do start Giannis at point, I want to see them go out and get either a really small shooting guard like Iverson, or I want to see them get another 7-footer in the backcourt.
Sure, fair
Really
enough.
mess with it.
Like a young Dirk.
Commit.
Like a young Dirk.
Or just go get Kristaps.
Get Muggsy. Get Muggsy at shooting guard or small forward.
Yeah, there you go. Muggsy at small forward. Literally small forward. Yeah.
All right, starting out to be a great episode. We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we have quarter number 2. You're listening to the Full Court Report. Back after this.
Welcome to the initial episode of No Holds Barred with the Dean, Finito Henson. We ask the questions, you get the answers. Did you feel rough that you didn't get the Best Import Award?
I won Best Import.
If you were the commissioner of the PBA for a day, what would be the first thing you'd do?
I'm not changing nothing.
Tell us, Lelen, last November, when Samboy, your husband, suffered cardiac arrest, what was your feeling? How were you able to cope? And what kind of magnitude of expenses are you facing?
It's not good.
back to the full court report. We are at quarter number 2, 12 minutes on the clock as we do, and we are sending this over to Brad here for point guard duties. Hey, Brad, what's up?
Thanks, Mo. Look, Russell Westbrook has been on such a tear lately. I mean, he's been collecting triple doubles like Dexter does kills. I mean, and he's doing so. He's doing so in tandem with the Thunder's resurgence, which I think is extra nice. You know, he's clearly the catalyst of what's going on there. I admitted last episode, in case you missed it,
can you readmit, please?
I can. I'll happily do that for the record. Not that this is a court of law, but sure. Westbrook is currently the Thunder's best player, and his stats over the past month certainly suggest that. There's clearly, a number of ways to digest this and accept it, and that's one of them. The numbers do speak volumes in this regard. But part of it is he's required to do more than most other point guards are. But because he's doing as much as what he is, there's actually an interesting wrinkle here, and that is I think he may actually be hurting OKC's true value and their ability to keep Serge Ibaka engaged over 48 minutes. Now, Russ and KD can carry the load and have proven that time and time again. But they're doing so now what seems to be at the cost of Ibaka, who's losing a little bit of interest. So, first of all, I wanted to sort of, ask you guys, have you been noticing what Russ has been doing? Have you been paying any attention, or have you been so blinded by the rest of the NBA that Russ's one-man act has kind of fallen on deaf ears? I mean, what do you guys make of Russ's current play? Is he the second best player in basketball right now? And how do we feel about Russ being the man in Oklahoma City?
Well, Russ has a chance to become the first player since Oscar Robertson to have at least 23 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. I know that's a bit of a statistical anomaly where you kind of skew the stats, but it still speaks to how great he is. He is the second best player in the NBA. He truly is. We always talk about his ferociousness.
Right.
He's the type of guy that I love watching the most out of any player in the NBA. I mean, Steph is right up there too, but it's Russ, and I love that dude.
Yeah, put it this way, Brad. I remember way back. I don't know what episode, but it was in the first couple of weeks that we've been doing the show, and you guys asked me who kind of the next Kobe Bryant is,
right?
And I said Russell Westbrook. And so I mean, for me to say that about Russell Westbrook. It speaks very highly about him. I mean, I just love the way he attacks. I mean, he there's a certain meanness to him. That's kind of like a throwback type of thing that I enjoy watching, and obviously the stats that he's putting up. You can't just overlook it. I mean,
isn't that interesting though that he's, as Chris pointed out, and as you mentioned now, I mean, his ruthlessness, his attacking, his aggressive style is all helpful, and he's putting up 10 assists a game. In the last 10, he's been putting up 10.2 for the month of March. Again, 10.6. He's been putting up incredible assist numbers. He's clearly a playmaker.
For the entire season.
Right, there you go. I mean, he's clearly one of the best playmakers we have, one of the best creators we've ever seen. But isn't it interesting, though, that Ibaka is not often the target when he is driving these lanes, when he's finding people? I mean, do you think them not playing Ibaka more, using him more, working with him more, is this going to hurt the Thunder long term in terms of how deep they can actually go? If they reached a ceiling, if they only have a big 2 rather than a big 3?
No, I think this style plays well for the playoffs. Having Ibaka as a quiet third option and the deadly one because he's got great range. I think this works well. The thing is, I think you should invest in Ibaka a little bit more during the regular season to get that confidence up. Yeah. So he's not putting quotes out there saying, man, these guys are ball hogs, or whatever he put. I don't know if you've got the quote. If you're
he's saying he didn't get enough touches and he's losing interest. And
so I think this is where you invest in Ibaka, especially if you have a few games left and kind of build that thing in him. But come playoff time, it's got to be like Pitbull, Westbrook, and Durant out there doing their thing. But if I just made real quick. As exciting as Westbrook is and the numbers are there, I still do believe that Kevin Durant is the better player, and I'll tell you it's because I'm a stats guy, and the numbers always still kind of lean towards Kevin Durant. The sexiness is Westbrook, the attack, the aggression, and all of that stuff.
He is sexy, big sexy.
Right, very sexy. But statistically, Kevin Durant is still by far the superior player. There are at least 6 players.
Is he really?
He is. Field goal percentage is over 50%. The free throws at 90, so he's that 50-90 guy that you're looking for.
He's got two.
You're
right.
89 to threes. 2.5 threes, 28 a game, 8 rebounds, which is more than Westbrook. Granted, he's a taller guy, but 5 assists from Kevin Durant is still a really high number. The blocks are there, and he doesn't turn the ball over as much. So come fourth quarter, we see a lot of Westbrook kind of getting a little sloppy sometimes, over aggressive. That can cost that team. I still think Kevin Durant is the better player, though Westbrook by far the most exciting.
God forbid to have that choice. I mean, that's a great situation.
Right. Well, isn't this the whole point now?
But
that they're
Brad,
2 of the best 5 guys right now.
A conscious effort to make sure that they're never both off the floor. Have you been tracking those splits? To figure out if it's been working out for them?
Well, I mean, I think the eye test suggests that it has been. I mean, the resurgence that they've been enjoying over the last few games, they're back on track now. They're back over 50 wins. They're playing really well. They're playing great basketball right now. And I think part of it is because Westbrook gets little pockets inside the game where he's allowed to just take over and be the Russ that he wants to be, the wrecking ball Russ. And then at the same time, when he sits, KD's on the floor and KD can take over and score and do the MVP stuff that he's used to doing. And therefore, that's why some of Durant's numbers are what they are, and it's also why Russ's numbers are what they are.
Yeah,
but my point here is that the two of them are actually doing exceptional things, and some of it is at the expense of Surge.
Right.
And that's where I'm worried. That's where I personally find a little concerning, because Dion Waiters ain't going to give up those shots. Anthony Morrow's still going to shoot those corner threes. Kyle Singler's still going to be worked into the offense because no one's going to guard him. They're still going to have other opportunities for these other guys, yet Serge seems to be the one that's always left out in the rain. And that's where I don't feel so confident right now that this team can take down the Warriors or the Spurs in a 7-game series. It's because if Serge himself is not engaged, and he can be a devastating player if he's there and he's on page and he's in sync, but right now it seems like these two guys are just on such another level that they don't even need to involve him. But I think that can actually, because it's a team sport, hurt them in some way.
I think I agree with you, Brad. And remember a couple years ago, Sam Presti had a choice between keeping Serge Ibaka or James Harden because of the salary cap. They went with Serge.
They went with defense. I don't know if you've seen Harden, but they went with defense.
They went with defense. They went with the bigger guy.
I guess they did.
Yeah. Whether or not that was the right choice by their GM, I don't know. I mean, James Harden has proven to be an all-world player as well.
Well, here's why it is the right choice, because Harden's no closer to a championship without them, and with Serge, I still think they're a legitimate threat to get the title.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Plus, I mean, if you think Ibaka's upset right now not getting touches, what more James Harden if it was Harden, right? I mean, so it clearly is.
True.
Harden can't come off the bench.
But the thing is, the reason why I'm saying this is because back then, when the season right after James Harden left, Ibaka was on fire. Like you saw right away. I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this is the perfect choice to keep Serge, because he's hitting mid range. He's hitting from 3-point territory. He was involved in the offense. Now he's not. Maybe it's because the other two players have gotten so much better. I'm not too sure.
Yeah. You've had Westbrook develop from all-star to elite player.
That's my point. That's the trade-off. The trade-off for Russ getting bigger and better is Serge has had to fall off a little bit, and I don't think Serge is necessarily happy about this. And what we're going to see is maybe even more separation, less Serge being used and even more Russ come the playoffs. And I think that could potentially hurt this team over a 7-game series, because if Russ going wild can shoot you in and out of games.
He shot them out of the Detroit game when Serge wasn't there and Kevin Durant wasn't there.
Those two can carry games. Have these two become the statistical equivalent of Kobe and Shaq? Have they gotten there yet?
No, they've, I think, surpassed those two. I think they're in the Pip Jordan era now. In that class.
Big. That's big company. That's big company.
Yeah, which is why I opened the year. I don't know if you remember episode 1, but I said that they're the most dynamic offensive force the game maybe has ever seen. And the numbers this year.
Good job, Brad.
Actually, there you go. Yeah. The crystal ball worked on that one, but there's been many that haven't.
The thing with Russell, and you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to being wrong here, and I said this in the past. Is that's why I like, say, Damian Lillard more than Russell Westbrook. Is you see Westbrook without Kevin Durant, and the flaws are so exposed. Man, look at him the other night. Was it last night? They lost to Detroit. 8 for 28% from the field, 24, 4, and 6, and losing to a Detroit team. I mean, I think the reason why Russell Westbrook shines so much is because he has a Kevin Durant, or he's got a Serge Ibaka. He's got somebody who can kind of help with the load.
Sure.
When he's top dog and solo dog, they struggle, and he struggles.
His biggest struggle last night is he didn't knock out Reggie Jackson, which he should have, and that would have been an easy fight.
Right, which is a very interesting situation, because as I'm sure everybody saw, he come out and had some remarks in regards to the way Reggie Jackson was celebrating and gloating following that Pistons win. If I'm Reggie Jackson, Durant and Serge aren't there, I'm not celebrating for any reason, because I didn't beat a team at full strength. I just, like when Damian Lillard beat the Warriors, they were at full strength. I reckon there's a reason to gloat.
Let the guy have a little fun.
Yeah, they're fighting for a playoff
You know who's not letting Reggie Jackson have
his
his fun?
He's also insufferable, that guy.
Sure. Right, and so, clearly there's an ongoing riff here. There was some locker room issues going on.
Oh, yeah, there were.
Reggie Jackson sat out games where he shouldn't have sat out, and he didn't help the Thunder in the way that the Thunder wanted him to help out. He had contract issues. He had playing time issues. He wanted to be a starter. They were never going to offer him that position. So this has been an ongoing issue between Russ and Reggie Jackson. A lot of words exchanged and a lot of sort of bad blood between the two. That's just the situation there. Reggie Jackson got the better of Russ.
Back to the Ibaka thing. You're the follower of this team more than anyone. I mean, what would your solution be?
My solution would be, Russ, continue to keep playing the aggressive style you're playing, but just keep one eye on Serge at all times. Try and run more plays with him. Billy Donovan should get him more involved in the offense. I don't think the corner three is the best way to get Serge involved. Get him some easy lobs, get him some easy dunks. Now what we're seeing is Steven Adams being used a little more, but I think they should go small, Durant at the 4, Serge at the 5, and then try and spread the floor with Durant stepping out, giving Serge a more of a lane to operate in, and get him some easy lobs. I mean, we had other coaches for George Karl was it last episode for basically giving their rookie lobs and easy baskets and not wanting to give him any credit. This is one easy, cheap way to get Serge energized again, because when he's engaged defensively, he's going to give you more offensively and vice versa. And so I think this team with the three of them, man, I think they're one of the toughest teams we've seen. And they've had their issues this year, but I think they can definitely sort themselves out. And it's a good problem to have. I'm not saying that they're, on shaky ground. I think it's a good problem to have. Only, Ross, just look for Serge from time to time. That's all I'm asking. But here, let me just finish the half here by asking you guys. It's been a long season, lots of storylines, lots of interesting things, lots of engaging things going on around the NBA. Who has been your favorite media outlet this season? Who have you most engaged with in terms of the media? As press, which website do you go to? Which show do you watch? Where is your attention when it comes to following the NBA?
Yeah, when Ben Osborne was here of Slam, I said that I enjoyed his social media kind of outlet as where I get my headlines. Online, if I go through kind of blogs or sites, I like SB Nation. And on television, I know you guys drink a lot of haterade for them, but I'm still on ESPN, man.
The worldwide leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
Chris ain't happy. Chris, who do you look for when it comes to media? Who are you engaging with the most? Who's giving you the most NBA information? Who do you enjoy the most when it comes to media consumption?
Yeah, for Inside Scoop, it's Ramona Shelburne, who covers a lot of the Lakers, but she's just very, very good at her job. For websites, Mo mentioned it is SB Nation. I'm big into that. And I've been one of those people who shifted over in the last couple of years from the worldwide leader to Fox Sports. I just enjoy some of the personalities, and they seem less of a kind of this big show production that they're trying to be celebrities and try to give you the sports news. So, those are my outlets.
Gino, what's going on over in Manila?
Well, for me, I mean, I have some, I guess, more relationship wise with other websites and other social media accounts. Outside of the normal, like Yahoo, ESPN, and all that kind of stuff, it's more like with Hoops Hype, which is actually based in Spain. And then you have as well, for the Lakers stuff, Lakers Nation, which I've actually been involved with as well. It's cool. For fans by fans. So you get
FUBU. That's like FUBU.
FUBU. So I mean, those two, I would say.
You say FUBU, he thinks Jordan Clarkson. Relax.
I don't get it. But go ahead.
No. We'll get more into that later, Mo. But yeah, I mean, I would say Hoops Hype and Lakers Nation.
Right, so it's the big ones. Cool. All right, so keep doing what you're doing, Media World. We love you. We keep following and whatever. And let's head to halftime. Mo, what do you say?
That's right. We'll take a break. When we come back, halftime show. Don't go away.
A Sports5.ph original web show.
My name is Dominic Uy, and this is my buddy Kevin Limhoco.
We are going to be testing products to their nth degree, to their limits.
Cars.
How many car makers are not equipped with power steering?
Gadgets.
You feel the value of that watch.
And everything in between.
I don't like to pamper myself except in a restaurant.
This is the web show for the modern man.
Oh, let's go!
Nth degree. Catch it exclusively on Sports5.ph.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Full Court Report. We're here at halftime. We're going to take the conversation away from the court and talk a little confessional. And today's topic is going to be all about cheating. Now, this comes in various forms. Now, you can be caught cheating on a spouse, a loved one, a partner, whatever the case may be. You could be caught cheating on your taxes. You could be caught cheating, the queue to pick up the new pair of sneakers, if that may be the case, jumping lines, whatever the case may be. But look, we all do it. There's always a point in our lives where we have to cheat for one reason or another to get an advantage, to prevent the truth from hurting somebody, whatever the case may be, or just because we want it all, because we're greedy as hell and we just think that, we're in a position of power and we can get away with it.
Are we
so
recording
I'm going to go
this?
around here.
Are we recording?
We are recording this.
Okay, all right.
The lawyers have signed off. I hope they'll
Just
sign
don't
off.
talk about the taxes and you should be fine.
Yeah, just don't talk about taxes or don't talk about anything that you can get, things you smuggle onto a plane, anything like that. I don't want to hear that stuff. Right. But let's go around the room. Let's start with you, Mo, seeing as you're right in front of me.
Yeah, start with Mo.
Because you had the most explosive.
yes.
I'm sure you've got the most explosive cheat. going on?
I have to feel the room first. I gotta
you want
see
to feel
if you
the
guys,
room?
If you guys are
You have to feel
admitting,
everything
if you're
out.
admitting that you get
Would you like
caught,
me to
then
throw
I'll
myself on the sword first? Then?
yeah, go
Okay,
ahead, go
so
ahead.
I will happily admit that I have never cheated on a partner in a relationship, so that's never
Wow.
where my cheats are. But what I
Sweet guy.
have been
Sweet
known
guy.
to do, and I happily did this in high school, I cheated on every test I could. Anytime I could get away with it, I used every trick in the book in terms of hiding answers in my pencil case, writing answers on the back of a ruler. I used to put like notes in my sock. I used to do anything I could to cheat in high school tests because I hated studying. And guess what? It served me no good because it wasn't like I was good at school anyway. So
Look at you, though, man. Podcast superstar.
Look
What
at
are you
me,
talking about,
superstar.
man?
Yeah. So yeah, Gino, I'm going to throw to you now. Gino, when was a time you remember cheating, got caught, didn't get caught, whatever? Give me a confessional. When have you cheated?
Outside of the up, down, down, left, right, BA selection.
Yes.
Outside of that one.
Outside of video games, which cheats, are abundant. Yes, give me a non-video game cheat.
Okay, well, so no relationship stuff, nothing like that. But what I'll say is this: when I moved,
feel free to do it.
Feel free.
when I moved back to the
Nothing
Philippines,
incriminating.
when I moved back to the Philippines, I
Yep.
still had my California driver's license.
Okay.
And I went on the wrong, but I also had my Philippine driver's license as well. And when I went to a, let's say, a one-way street, and I didn't know it was a one-way street. But so a cop pulled me over and started speaking to me in Filipino, in Tagalog. I mean, don't get me wrong, I completely understood what he was saying. But then I whipped out my California driver's license and I showed it to him. And I whipped on a American accent and pretended that I didn't understand what he was saying. I was like, oh, and then he finally was just so frustrated that he couldn't do anything about it, and he just let me go. And he let me go the same direction I was going, which was the one-way street. So it
So
wasn't
you
like.
got caught breaking the law,
And
he let you continue to break the law.
let me continue to break the law because the building I was going to was like a little bit further down, and he just said, "You know what? Just go, just go. Sige, tuloy ka na. Just go." And
Right.
yeah.
Nice. So you cheated the law. You beat the law.
Yeah, I did.
Good work. Chris, what have you got for us?
All right, to this day, I still, and now it's a compulsion, but it started when I was a kid. To this day, I cheat every time I play Monopoly, the board game. I
Oh.
always palm cash from the bank. Every time, I can't help it. Even if I'm playing like Little Cousins, I just can't help it now. I put my hand
It is a
down, I
compulsion.
palm,
You are right. That is a
$1,000
compulsion.
bills. It's horrible. And
Wow.
I'll
Even
get-
kids. You actually cheat against kids. How
Because I
dare
can't
you?
help it now. I just turned into
Right.
a compulsion when I play that game. Like I used to cheat in other games too, but in Monopoly, it's become a compulsion. It's like really bad. I see the bank and I see it almost like as real money in my head, and I like fucking grab it. Oh, I shouldn't have cursed there, but I grab it really quick and palm it, and no one sees it because I'm very slick at it now. I built it as a science.
Remind me to never play board games with you ever in my
No, it's
life.
just
That's it.
Monopoly
You've just
now.
removed
Everything
yourself.
else was a kid.
No. You know what? You are now untrustworthy across the board game spectrum. I'm sorry.
Okay, and I'll give you guys one more, and I feel
Sure.
bad about this. Now you order tickets for movies online, like Fandango or whatever, and when there's only one seat left, it's because it's a handicap seat. Maybe I'll order the handicap seat, and I'll show up at the movies with this cane that I own, and I'll limp with the cane to the movies so no one can question me. and
Did
put
you
me
see
out of the
Deadpool
handicap
that way?
seat.
Did you
Ouch,
see
that's what I
Deadpool
did.
that way? When was the last movie you saw with the cane?
Superman vs. Batman.
Oh wow, was that
so you're
recent?
still
Oh, that's
doing
crazy.
it.
All right, Mo, what have you got? Mo, bring us out. Take us out strong.
Listen, I always ask friends of mine to write a list of all the crimes they've committed, and you'd be surprised how long that list is.
Really?
I guess the first thing that comes to mind is when I was a kid, I was bored. I grew up in the province, like in farms and all that stuff, and we wouldn't have phones and we didn't have TVs and stuff. So I kind of knew my way around cell phones, and before there were SIM cards, we just used kind of a different format. So what I would do is I would steal cell phone signals from other people so I could call abroad and friends in different countries and rack up a phone bill that would be in the thousands
someone
of
else.
dollars for somebody else. And as soon as they found out, I would then go to another person's cell phone signal and steal that one, and just kind of jump from one person to another. This is me at 11 or 12 years old. So, yeah, sorry guys.
Thanks for that, everybody.
Wow. Yeah.
We're now all worse people for having admitted
Sure.
this to each other.
Right.
So,
and that ain't even the worst of
yeah,
it.
there you
All right.
go.
All right, but let's take a break. When we come
Yeah.
back, we have the second half, third quarter of the full court report. Don't go away. Back after this.
Welcome to the initial episode of No Holds Barred with the Dean, Finito Henson. We ask the questions, you get the answers.
Did you feel rough that you didn't get the Best Import Award?
Our best import.
If you were the commissioner of the PBA for a day, what would be the first thing you'll do?
I'm not telling you nothing.
Tell us, Leland, last November, when Samboy, your husband, suffered cardiac arrest, what was your feeling? How were you able to cope? And what kind of magnitude of expenses are you facing?
It's not good.
Welcome back to the Full Court Report. It is the second half, quarter number 3, and it belongs to Chris Savage in New York City. Chris, 12 minutes and take it away, man.
All right, let's play a little game, boys. Let's play a little will
Monopoly.
they, won't they?
Yeah, actually, you sure you're not going to cheat on this one, Chris?
Are you sure we want to play games with Chris Savage?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I'll keep it honest.
All right.
So there are 7 teams throughout the East and Western Conference fighting for 4 playoff spots. 4 in the East, 3 in the West. I want to start with the East, and what we'll do here is, give reasons of why, for instance, the Pistons will make the playoffs, and maybe why won't the Pistons make the playoffs. So, with that said, let's start in the Eastern Conference and go with the Pistons. Why will they make the playoffs? I'll start. I just think this is a team that can close out games. I think they play well in the fourth quarter. Great fourth quarter differential, and when it counts, they can just close it out, which is so important when it comes to getting into the playoffs and then even in the playoffs. What do you guys got for the Pistons?
I think for me, the Pistons are going to make the playoffs because there's 3 worse teams than them
Yes.
in the Eastern Conference. It's as simple as that. I mean, the Pacers have lost steam, especially with a little bit of the production decline of Paul George. The Chicago Bulls they look like they've checked out already. And the Washington Wizards just can't get it done. So
Yeah. Right. Yeah, Pistons just solely because Reggie Jackson has irrational confidence, and I think that always helps the team this time of the season. John J. Drummond is going to continue to sort of do what Drummond does best, which is control the paint, rebound, whatever.
Yes.
And Stan Van Gundy, exceptional coach, and I really think he's going to keep them. Stan, what did I say? Jeff? I'm sorry.
No.
I think
Stan
all the Van
Van.
Gundys.
Stan, right?
Yep, Stan Van. I think all the Van Gundys are great, and so I just think that that's going to help them stay motivated, stay engaged, and I like the Pistons being in that 7th seed.
Yeah, they're playing well right now, 7-3 in the last 10. They have a 2.5 game kind of cushion of falling out of the playoff race. And with a couple games left, the numbers just kind of add up that they're going to end up being there. They don't have the easiest schedule coming up in the next few, but nevertheless, they're in prime position for at least an 8th spot. And like you said, it's a talented team with a good coach. They know how to close. I think they're going to be there.
Yeah, and it's funny that we talked about their lead, and you're right, mathematically it looks fine, but the reason for me of why they wouldn't make the playoffs is they're a streaky team. They can lose that 4-game, 5-game losing streak at any time, and then fall out of the playoff race. You guys see any of that coming up as a reason to miss the playoffs?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like all the teams fighting for these spots, they haven't done enough of a convincing job to make us think that they're untouchable. And the Pistons may be one case where if they lose 2 in a row, it could turn into 4 or 5 in a row without even blinking an eye. So, they've been, up and down all year long. That's the reason they're 40 and 35 right now. But I still think that because there is a team underneath them and because they have that, as you said, Chris, that little bit of a cushion, I think that helps their case. And I do think even though the schedule for them is a little tougher than most, I think their character's going to come out now. And I think Van Gundy really wants this, and I think that's why they'll make it.
What makes their schedule a little tough as well is, if you look at it, it's Dallas, Chicago, Miami, Orlando, Washington, Miami, and Cleveland. Basically, most of those teams outside of Orlando have something to play for. And if the Bulls really haven't checked out, like I said earlier, then maybe they still have a chance. And that game is a big game when it's going to be the Pistons going up against the Bulls on April 2.
Look, if the Pistons have more home games than road games, they'll be fine. The big problem for them is the road. But at home, they're a solid team. They can beat anyone in the NBA at home. And I trust them as long as they have more home games. And I think the Pistons will finish 7th.
Cool. Let's jump over to the Pacers, and Gino, you already brought it up. We talked about some of the struggles that they had, but what's the reason why they'll make the playoffs? For me, it's that defense, which can be absolutely smothering at times. One of the best defenses, at least from an efficiency standpoint in the league, and can really stay up there with the top defenses in the league, shut down some of the top offenses in the league. Again, defense is another big thing. So not just closing out fourth quarters like the Pistons can do, but defense is obviously a great characteristic to have this type of year.
I'm going to take the feel-good position on this one and say I want the Pacers, to make it just because of Paul George's comeback and what this team has done to sort of surprise everybody, be competitive right away. Look, they don't have a chance to challenge, the Cavaliers, the Raptors, even the Hawks, but I definitely see them getting an 8th seed. I think it's good for the city, of Indianapolis, and for Paul George to get back to the playoffs, I think that means that he deserves an All-NBA third-team spot. So for Paul George alone, I hope the Pacers make it.
Yeah,
I think they're going to make it because they got an easy schedule. I mean, they're still in the 8th spot right now. I think they have a 2-game lead over the next team over. They play Philly, they play New York, then they play Brooklyn, then they play New York again. I mean,
so like 6 D-League teams.
Yeah, sandwiched in those crappy teams are the Cavaliers and a trip to Toronto. But you're hoping at this point
these
teams might be resting players, so they can have a really coasting type of schedule here. And I think that's why they're going to make it. You have a Miles Turner kind of emerging as a real kind of considerable contributor for that team, and I think if they continue to play this way, they'll be there.
And again, Frank Vogel, trusted coach.
Sure.
Yeah, I think on the flip side, and they're in of course, good position for all those reasons. Mo, especially with the schedule, but they've been blowing leads, a lot of leads this year, late leads, and of course, offensively, just trying to get it to one guy, relying too much on Paul George, that could really hurt him.
Well, their biggest strength is their biggest weakness.
Yeah,
and that's Paul George.
That right. You got that right. Let's shift over to the Bulls. We know the reasons why they won't make the playoffs. At least I think you guys all agree with me. There's probably a million reasons. That's a mess. But guys, talk to me why they will find a way to make the playoffs.
Well, they still have enough talent. I mean, they still have,
they do.
They still have the most talented team in that bottom tier of the Eastern Conference. And I think if they still have that sort of, I guess, some passion in them or any sense of pride in them, they still have a chance. I mean, mathematically, they still have a chance. But I mean, it just looks to me like they've really just checked out. I mean, it's been reported the mood in the locker room is like they're ready to go on vacation.
Right, they got a lot of road games though, and sometimes the road games might play in your favor, where you're away from home, you're away from your comfort zone, and you're just hungry. You just want it and want it bad. And they're going to be in Houston, they'll be in Milwaukee, Memphis, Miami, New Orleans. They end the season, I think, against Philadelphia. So if they can go ahead and get on the road and just muster enough kind of nastiness to go ahead and win a couple of those games, and then your last 2 games are against the Pelicans and the 76ers, and if it means something, you're a game out. That's the way they're going to get in. By just going out on the road and being a team and just forgetting about everything else and go out and do it.
Next, I want to just briefly breeze over the Wizards. They did lose tonight to the Kings. One strength that they did have was they were going to play 4 of the 5 worst teams in the NBA down the stretch. Well, they already lost to the Kings, so I think they're pretty much done. So let's jump to the Western Conference. We have the Jazz in the 7th position, Rockets in 8th, Mavs in the 9th. So the Jazz played the Warriors very tough tonight, but still lost. One of their weaknesses is they can't close games
Moral
this year.
victory.
With that being said, though, why will they make the playoffs? They're in the 7th spot, so a good spot. But why will they make the playoffs? It's very tight.
They just dropped down to 8th.
Okay, they dropped to 8th with a loss. Yeah. Okay, so it's tight.
They're tied with Houston.
They're tied with Houston.
Yeah,
but Houston has a tiebreaker, so they're
yeah.
So
look, Utah makes it right. Utah makes it because they have Gobert still, patrolling the middle. I think they've got enough assets, and I think this team surprisingly really wants this. I think that they're in a position now where there's been no talk about Utah. They've done this sort of year after year where they've flirted with the playoffs. They've always come the 9th, 10th seed. At one point, Utah looks like it's coming out of the dead. And then all of a sudden, they spring back to life and then they're dead again and you don't know what to make of them. But this year it seems like they might only finish 500, but that also might be enough to get to that 8th spot. And Utah seems like they have the personnel to get there. And the teams around them are teams that I don't trust as much. So I think Utah is deserving of a spot, and I think they're going to get there because they're hungry and they're young and they don't know any better.
Hey, Brad, you said the personnel. You don't think that team isn't deep enough and maybe too young at this point to kind of get it done?
No. I mean, for 10 games to go, I think they've got legs and energy. I think that's what's playing into their favor. Yeah. I think their youth is actually an advantage this late in the season. While other teams rest, they're young and hungry. And I think, if they can push the Warriors, I think that losing to the Warriors in overtime, I think is actually a massive confidence boost for them. And it gives and it shows them that, we can run with anyone in this league if we want to. So let's go out there and show the world what we're made of. And again, I think the Jazz have put themselves in the driver's seat to qualify for the playoffs.
Yep.
Well, there's three teams in the West in the Western Conference tied for at 37 and 38. The Rockets, the Jazz, and the Mavs. I mean, I want the Jazz to make the playoffs as an eighth seed, but I see a possibility that they will not finish in the playoffs simply because I think the Mavs have a little bit more experience. You mean the experience and the vets in the Mavericks, especially with Dirk still playing at a high level. I think that could be enough for the Mavs to squeak in past the Jazz in for that eighth spot.
You know, there's a big thing that helps the Jazz, though. They don't play well on the road, but their 3 road games left this year are the Suns, the Nuggets, and the Lakers. So I think they're in pretty good shape with those road games. So that might really help them out. So let's shift over to the guys we talk about a lot is the Rockets, Houston Rockets. Why will they make the playoff, guys?
They'll make the playoffs because there's still a lot of talent.
They just have one guy named James Harden, and Harden's enough to carry this team to the playoffs.
Yeah,
I mean, he's still, maybe the most talented offensive player at the two-guard spot. So it's just a case of he'll continue to play well. There's probably incentives in his contract for him to make the playoffs. I'm sure Adidas has given him a bunch of incentives to be in the playoffs. So for him, he actually has a lot on the line. I mean, if he fails to make the playoffs, I'm not even sure he's going to make an All-NBA team. So it's one of those situations where I think Harden has a little bit at stake here, and I think he, needs to prove to the world that this team.
Any worry that Harden can wear down because he's utilized too much? Any worry that that'll come up as an issue down the stretch?
Well, he can't be. He's not tired. He's not playing defense. He's only playing half the game. So he's
that's
fine.
a great point. But he's certainly playing a lot of offense when he's touching the ball 90% of the time. But that's a good point. And their defense is in tough shape. But if they can get their opponents to within 5 feet or less,
right. The problem with the Rockets
is they're in great shape.
Right, Rockets give up more points than they score, and that's always going to be an issue going down the stretch. Like, if they can get their defense sorted out and they can still continue to find a way to get points, if Howard's engaged, as is going to be the story from now to the day he leaves Houston, they're a real shot. I mean, they're still talented, they're underachieved, but they really have a chance in these last 5 to 10 games to right the ship, secure a spot. I mean, if they get to the 7th seed, then the playoffs start, and then anything's possible. You start from zero again. So they've got irrational confidence as well. They still believe in themselves, oddly enough. And Harden, again, is still a talent.
And they got Michael Beasley.
Yeah,
they do. They do.
The last one from the Mavs guys, and we know about the age. We know about their schedule is actually very tough down the stretch. For me, the reason why they'll get in, and we talk about coaches, they might not make a big difference when it comes to the NBA. It's a superstar league. Coaches are expendable, but it makes a difference when it comes to 1 or 2 games down the stretch. And we know Rick Carlisle is a top-level coach. I think his rotations are very strong. They're efficient on offense because of what he can do as a coach. And Dirk is playing very well the last couple months. Any credence to that?
Rough sked. I know I keep going back to the sked on this, but I'm looking at it, man. They play in Detroit, then they fly to Minnesota, then they go take on Houston. These are playoff teams: Houston, Memphis, Clippers, Jazz, Spurs. Spurs may rest that last game, but boy, that's a tough sked for Dallas. And just considering how old they are and all that travel that they have to go through, like 4 games on the road, and they're not close.
We've run out of time when Mo keeps saying sked and not schedule. So
that's how we say. That's how we say it in our country.
Is it all right? Well, we're good.
You got to take that sked. But it's rough times.
So Moses Dallas is gone.
Gone. Said it a long time ago. Saying it again. Gone.
Yep.
All right.
Let's
Let's take a break. When we come back, we have quarter number 4.
Controversy.
Gino Ruffino's going to take it, and there's some Laker talk that we have to get to, and he's going to be on top of that. Back after this. Don't go away. Listen to the full court report.
A Sports5.ph original web show.
My name is Dominic Uy, and this is my buddy Kevin Limhoco.
We are going to be testing products to their nth degree, to their limits.
Cars.
How many car makers are not equipped with power steering?
Gadgets.
You feel the value of that watch.
And everything in between.
I don't like to pamper myself except in a restaurant.
This is the web show for the modern man.
Oh, let's go!
Nth degree. Catch it exclusively on Sports5.ph.
All right, welcome back to the Full Court Report. It is our 4th quarter, and we are going to Gino Ruffino, who's got point guard duties. Gino, you have 12 minutes, my friend. Fire away.
Thanks, Mo. Now, with about, less than 10 games to go in the regular season, and of course, we know now all the storylines that's happened throughout the season. Of course, Steph's sensational, fantastic, historical regular season, LeBron James in Cleveland, I guess hot and cold feelings that he's had for that organization, the Spurs and Warriors home court, all of these, and Porzingis, Cat, all of these beautiful storylines throughout the 2015-2016 regular season. One of my favorite seasons that I've seen so far in the history of the NBA, at least since I've been watching it. But here are some of the top things that I would like to point out, at least for me personally this season. Number one is the rise of the Raptors. We the North. Now these guys, I knew that they were going to be good, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. I didn't think that they were going to be pushing Cleveland in the Eastern Conference, even battling for that number one spot, basically with two superstars. And the rest, and everybody else as role players. I mean, I just want to ask you guys first. What are your thoughts about what's happened in Toronto?
I want to ask you how to define superstar. Two?
They're both in the All-Star. They both made the All-Star team, right?
Isn't there a separation between All-Star and superstar?
Yes.
But all right, anyway, that's another debate. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, the Raptors are overachieving, but only slightly. I don't think a lot of people said they were going to be an 8th seed or 7th seed. They were going to be right there in the pack.
They're a power team.
Yeah, they were a legit team coming in. They're just maybe the big surprise is how they've kind of beaten up on other teams like the Bulls or the Hawks and stuff like that. But I mean, when you look at the 8 of the Eastern Conference, there's no real big surprise except Chicago.
I think that is Kyle Lowry shedding some pounds instead of being a fat bastard, being committed to defense and becoming a superstar. Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
So that's the difference maker there from being a 4th or 5th seed to a number 2.
But how about DeMar's improved play? And he's gotten a lot better from the outside. I mean, he's also he's going to be a max player next year, no matter where he lands. Whether it's going to be still with the Heat, with the Raptors, or with another team that they're going to be offering him the max contract.
Right. No, absolutely. The beautiful thing about the Raptors is there was a vacuum created once the Bulls, the Knicks, and everyone else who were expected to perform didn't. They were all injury prone or whatever, collapsed for varying reasons. And the Raptors stepped in and took that mantle and took it from Atlanta and took it from every other team that thought they had a claim on that number 2 seed. And credit to them. They clearly are in shape. DeMare Carroll signed there, and we thought that was going to be a game changer. Then he wasn't there for a large part of the season, and they've all overperformed. And they are this year's version of last year's Hawks. I think that. They're an incredible regular season story, and all the credit to them.
How about this story? When we all saw the video and we all cringed, and probably some of us couldn't look at the video again when Paul George broke that leg. And he came back.
Can you not remind us, Gino? I mean, that's still so fresh in my mind.
Do we have the video tape?
Sick.
No, we can't show that video.
You know what? George Lucas got rid of all those Christmas specials of the Star Wars thing. Can we get rid of all the Paul George leg breaking clips off YouTube? Because
that wasn't a PG-13 act. That was rated R.
Yeah, there you go.
That is one.
Touche.
But I mean, the way he came back this year, especially in the beginning of the season. I mean, I know it kind of tapered off as the regular season went on, but in the beginning of this season, he looked like an MVP candidate. I mean, so much credit to him that he was able to bounce back so quickly and look so good right away, and specifically being the only threat in Indiana. How do you guys feel about that?
Huge success story. This year we've seen a lot of trouble around the league. A number of franchises have become dysfunctional or fallen apart. The Rockets being one that jumps to mind. But the Pacers seem to be the antithesis to that. Then I really like the fact that George and these guys have all bonded and all figured it out. And, I think they have a promising future. I think they can really build on this. And I think free agents would want to go and sign in Indiana now. Sorry for that slip of the tongue. And that's basically because Paul George is not only back, but he seems like a really good teammate. He seems like one of these guys that has got the right attitude, the right work ethic, and the right kind of leadership. And, I just really, really applaud Paul George's ability to get back to a level that I wasn't sure he was going to get quite back to. So kudos, Paul George, even if you didn't, give me the best conference call, but, I can get over it.
And he listens to Full Court Report because he listens to the analytics and took a little more threes off that step back. So nice job there, Paul George. We love it.
Another team I want to talk about. They belong in the Eastern Conference. I knew that maybe like a couple years down the line that this team would be good because of all the assets they have. But I didn't think it would happen this fast. The Boston Celtics. I mean, they were young. They had a lot of assets. They have a great coach. They have a nice system. Of course, we all know about the great tradition in Beantown. But to be in the top 4 this early, this soon in the Eastern Conference, your thoughts on the C's?
Again, Incredible story coming out of Boston. Stevens deserves, I think, at least some of the votes for Coach of the Year. I don't think he's going to get the award, but I think that's where a lot of this credit lies. I think the Celtics, not only surprised a lot of the Eastern Conference, but the NBA in general. And, I wouldn't really bestow all-star, superstar status on Isaiah Thomas. I don't think he's quite there yet. Deserving of his all-star spot, sure. But I think he's still sort of another year or two away from, taking over that northeastern corner and sort of being the people's hero. But again, the Celtics, another incredible story, like the poor man's Raptors in many ways, definitely performing well this regular season. And I hope it continues. Seeing Boston do well is always good for the NBA.
And props to Danny Ainge, man. He has built up
absolutely.
a good
call, Chris.
there.
Great call.
For sure.
Yeah. No, sorry. I want to just ask this real quick before you get to maybe the other teams. But this is the Eastern Conference, and this has been a conference that has had teams at number 10, and then in a week they're at number 3, and then they're 4, and then they're 11. Is this all surprising? Like, yeah, they're great stories, but it was a volatile conference throughout the entire season. It's not like these guys were mainstays. Any of these teams except Cleveland and Raptors were mainstays at their positions. So it just the cards just kind of fell as we get towards the end of the season, but I don't feel like the Celtics are.
I think, Mo, you're underestimating.
Story.
No, you're underestimating their adjustments that they've made throughout the year, and the fact that this conference has collectively picked up and become more competitive.
Right.
After
It
last
has
year's
been.
lull, I think this is a great response. I think they all got together and said, "Screw the criticism, screw everything else," and I think from top to bottom, they're better.
Good response. Incredible story.
I
think it forms an incredible story.
All 8 playoff teams are going to finish over 500.
Yeah.
That's a huge jump. I mean, let's give them props for that.
Oh,
Plus
okay,
plus
all
the
right.
fact
So
that the
moral
Celtics
victory, Chris.
Plus the fact that the Celtics were, they were awful in what, a couple of years ago. They were as soon as they got rid of all
the speed in which they've turned it
they,
around is what we
turn
think is
it around.
impressive.
They turn it around
How
so
quick was
fast.
that from the big 3? How quick was it?
Did you really think
Danny Ainge,
Charlotte would be
mad
this
love.
good? Did you think Boston would be this good? I think my point and Gino point here is
they're playoff teams because other teams have collapsed as well, though. It's not just a lot of credit to, oh my God, look at the great improvements. Yeah, but look at how crap the Bulls and the Wizards have played, or how the Milwaukee Bucks have been.
No, I think you've got it wrong. I think you've got it wrong. I think they saw.
Correct me.
They saw an opportunity and they seized upon it. I don't think it's a case of
right. That's
way.
what I'm saying. But things have to happen, and other things have to happen for them to kind of end up here.
Part of it, they have
don't
to play
take away
well.
from
And
the
they took
wins.
advantage.
I want to take away from them. I'm just
But
saying.
they,
it's
but
not
they took
incredible.
advantage of it. They were
Sure.
presented opportunity and
Is
they took
that-
advantage of it. And I
Again,
think, but
I'm
I think
still
it's a
with my
great
Hey,
first
there's a
story.
hot,
I don't
there's a
wanna
hot
take
girl
away
at the
from them,
party,
but they're
and if no
lucky.
one else is talking to her, you go talk to her and you take the hot girl home. Credit to you. You can't take the credit away from someone else because they didn't talk to her. It's the guy who goes home with the girl that wins. The Celtics are taking home the pretty girl from the party. Good for the Celtics.
Yes, even if he's a scavenger at the end of the night, he still took a girl
Exactly.
home.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, maybe as a show we exaggerate with some of our terminology,
Oh.
like incredible and superstar. That's all I'm saying.
You sure?
I think you
Okay.
guys maybe want to, get
All
a
right.
thesaurus and tame some of these
okay.
words down.
Here's the last team that I want to talk about. The last team I want to talk about, kind of the opposite direction from the first
But
three.
still a
that
storyline.
But it's still a storyline.
Still
I
a
mean, because
storyline.
before the season started, a lot of people thought this team. There were some people, some experts on ESPN, on Yahoo Sports, some experts on these big websites that said the Houston Rockets would finish with the best record in the Western Conference.
Oh man, ouch! they were not close at all.
Obviously, that didn't happen. I mean, they've kind of at least won some games, and I think they'll be a threat once the playoff starts.
Yeah.
But I mean, the dysfunction that happened there, when the off-season acquisition of Ty Lawson that didn't work out and blew up in their face. I mean, this is another storyline for me that was kind of intriguing because we talked about the Rockets so many times in this show. And it was never in good light. It was always
Let's talk about them one more time. Yeah, they were a 15-1 preseason odds to win the title. Now they're 150-1 to win it. I will say this though, my favorite moment of the year, guys, it wasn't the great play by the Warriors or the Spurs. It was James Harden's Vine video showing his defense. That was my favorite moment of the year.
Okay.
They got caught looking play.
This brings me to
Yeah.
my other favorite storyline this year: the Los Angeles Lakers, the worst record in franchise history. Kobe Bryant's farewell tour, and then obviously today, or especially yesterday, the big news, and it wasn't even about Kobe. It was about their rookie, D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, how dare they take the shine away from Kobe?
I know. seriously, man.
Videotaping Nick Young talking about locker room talk, guy talk that normally doesn't get leaked to the press. And when this kind of blew up on ESPN, they lost by a record of 48 points to a
tied the franchise record.
Yeah.
48-point loss. Embarrassing
only
for
by
everyone
48,
on
not
that team.
bad.
to a hungry Jazz team
16?
that's trying to make it that's trying to move up the playoff ladder in the Western Conference. This dysfunction in Lakerland, this is not something new. We've seen this before, but at least before they were winning. This time around, I mean, this is the worst season in franchise history.
What happened? What happened? I didn't. There was a big story today.
Mo's been
Where are
asleep
we?
for 2 days. Don't forgive Mo. He's got kids.
Let's get to it. What happened?
It was a Mo Twister moment. Can I call it that?
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah. No, hell yeah. Tell me.
Wow. I don't even know what that means.
I want to call it.
what does that mean?
I want to call it a Mo Twister moment. Guys, Mo Twister. He's obviously extremely popular here in the Philippines and across the world. There are times when when some friends of his have shown him, I guess, stuff that should have been private. And Mo
regarding your BFF on the Lakers, Jordan Clarkson.
And Mo decides to, in his other podcast, bring it out of his co-host, our common friend. When I saw it, I started cracking up because I knew exactly what he was doing, and her response was classic too. But obviously,
let me tell you the difference. Let me tell you the difference between again. Yes, it's a Mo. I hate even calling myself in that field, but yes, it's a Mo moment for D'Angelo. But guess what? I'm not teammates with Nick Young.
So your conduct and your expectations are different.
Of course, I'm an entertainment reporter. I'm a sports reporter. I'm doing all these things. So a part of it is me messing around on Twitter. But
harmless fun.
I'm sorry.
Was it harmless fun?
Oh yeah, I mean, or who cares if harm was done? I don't give a crap. It's my life, and he ain't on my team. So I think the story that Gina's trying to get to is Jordan Clarkson tried to sleep with a friend of mine, and via screenshots, he was inviting her to the hotel. I'll call a timeout here. He was inviting her to the hotel. She sent me the screenshots, and I was like, I'm going to post this mother F on Twitter, and I did. But I'm not his teamate. I'm not his teammate.
Your obligation to him is zero.
Zero, man. Zero at all.
Who
In
cares
fact,
about the
if
bro code, dude? Throw it out. I got you.
if I saw D'Angelo's video, it came to my
don't
doorstep,
send Mo
I'm uploading that bitch immediately because he's not my
does not follow the
teammate.
bro code, but that's
He's
okay.
not
It's
my
okay, man.
teammate.
Everyone looks out for themselves. I'm fine with that.
All right.
Okay,
all
but
right. Anyway.
so since we're in a timeout here, but I mean, obviously, this whole thing between D'Angelo and Nick Young has kind of blown out of proportion because it's, I mean, obviously, well. I mean, if it's true, I mean, sometimes guys do this and say, "Oh yeah, I've been with her, I slept with her, whatever," but they really didn't. So, but if it's true that Nick Young did, I mean, he's really the one at fault here, right?
So what you're saying here, Gino, is Nick Young has confessed the number of infidelities to D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell has caught this on tape, and somehow this has been leaked to the media. That's what's blown up, right?
Yeah, it's a little blown out of proportion, in my opinion.
Well, let's figure out more about this. Let's get to overtime and figure out.
Speaking of blown proportion, clearly Nick Young is affected, and the media is not playing a big part in this. I think it really is. He feels backstabbed. I want to talk more about this, and I think you're right, Brad. Let's go ahead, since we're done here on the fourth. Let's bring it to overtime. Let's dig deep into this whole thing and how we feel about it as bros, as media, and as if we were on that Laker team. Let's take a break.
And people who know it.
Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more of it in overtime. You're listening to the Full Court Report. Don't go away.
Welcome to the initial episode of No Holds Barred with the Dean, Finito Henson. We ask the questions, you get the answers.
Did you feel rough that you didn't get the best import award?
I was best import.
If you were the commissioner of the PBA for a day, what would be the first thing you'd do?
I'm not changing nothing.
Tell us, Leland, last November, when Samboy, your husband, suffered cardiac arrest, what was your feeling? How were you able to cope? And what kind of magnitude of expenses are you facing?
It's not good.
Welcome back to the Full Court Report, and it's overtime. And we last quarter spoke a little bit about drama in La La Land. I want to go over some of that kind of the juicy rumors that have happened in the last couple days, not just in LA, but if we have some time around the NBA. This is a point of the season where we should be focusing on historic issues, historic events like the Spurs getting to 41-0 at home, of course, what the Warriors are doing, Steph's stats, Kobe Bryant's retirement. But for whatever reason, the gossip and the drama in the NBA has just dominated the headlines. So with that said, to weigh in on all this drama we're bringing in Joe Casey. He's the sports and pop culture staff writer for InfluxWeTrust.com. Joe, this is Chris Savage in New York. Glad to have you aboard.
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for having me on, guys.
I'm doing
Look at
great.
that New York accent. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
There you go.
So I brought up the drama in La La Land for the Lakers. Let's start with that. How did this Nick Young and D'Angelo Russell drama all start? Bring our listeners up to speed.
Well, kind of like what you just said, Chris. I mean, here we are at a time of the season where we should be praising the Warriors' run, giving the Spurs their credit, focusing on Kobe's last couple of weeks of his iconic career. And instead, as we gear up for the playoffs, we're more focusing on off-the-court nonsense that really has nothing to do with the game itself.
Right.
Pretty much what's been going on is D'Angelo Russell recorded a video of him and Nick Young having a conversation reportedly months ago. The video itself just got leaked to the internet about last week and caught some real steam earlier this week. What was interesting is D'Angelo Russell was trying to say earlier this week that he must have sent the video, which showed him and Nick Young talking in a hotel room, with Nick Young possibly speaking about cheating on his fiancée Iggy Azalea with a 19-year-old, saying how he would have wanted to talk to Amber Rose had she not known Iggy Azalea, and things like that. Obviously, things no man wants their fiancé to be hearing, whether they're true or not.
Right.
So D'Angelo Russell at first was saying that he must have sent it to Snapchat and didn't realize that the video could be saved and spread by the masses. Number one, everybody knows once it's on the internet, it's there forever.
You got it.
Number two, more specifically with the Snapchat app, a lot of fans started crying foul to his statement because the length of the video, which is about 30 seconds of Nick Young talking, is too long for Snapchat.
Oh, busted.
Snapchat's 10 seconds.
So how could he have done that, obviously? And then, ironically, tonight, before the game, him and Nick Young gave statements to the press separately. And in this case, D'Angelo Russell was singing a total different tone. Instead of owning up to allegedly leaking it on Snapchat, now he has no idea how it happened. Him and his legal team are allegedly trying to search into how it happened. But he is no longer going with the Snapchat excuse. And I can only assume it's because he knew it wasn't a good one from the start.
Yes.
We'll talk about Lakers practice. What's going on there? Because I know D'Angelo might have been in a little isolation at the practice.
He's been in isolation for more than practice. He was isolated while he was eating lunch like the new kid at junior high in town.
Ouch. Oh, nerd.
He also, it was reported earlier today that he had to leave the facility after practice with extra security. Now, I don't know if that means maybe some of the players were that upset that the Lakers were worried, or if they were more concerned with maybe a fan doing something stupid.
I think that was for the press. That was for the media.
No, Gino, no, that's for the Lakers fans like you who are going to do crazy things when D'Angelo comes to town.
Regardless, with the security, it was the first time all season any Laker got help defense. But So, Joe, in the practice, was it just the players or was it the coaching staff too? Is Kobe a part of that isolation?
It was reported that other than actual basketball talk only, the coaching staff was having no interaction with him, which would obviously include Byron Scott, he has not been the biggest fan of him this season anyway. But he has reportedly not said a word to him as far as on a personal level about basketball talk, sure. But other than that, it appears everyone in the franchise is pretty much isolating him, even some people in upper management. Nobody wants to go anywhere near him at the moment. He's almost like a toxic fume.
Wow. Joe, let me
Holy hell.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you, there was reports earlier today, right before the tip-off between the Heat and the Lakers, that after D'Angelo apologized, that Swaggy P accepted, and then Swaggy P tweeted saying, I accepted, ? And then deleted that tweet right away. And then, I mean, what did you hear about that? Has there been any developments? I mean, was
Sure.
Nick Young's account hacked, like some of these guys claim?
Well, they definitely both spoke prior to the game. D'Angelo was more just again profusely apologizing, saying things he wish he never did it. He wish he could just speed this up and get it over with, but he knows he can't. He knows he has to earn the trust back and things like that. Nick Young, though, ironically, for a guy who seems to try to have a good time with everything, he was very stoic, very serious. He had no interest in addressing the media about it. He repeatedly said that him and D'Angelo Russell need to talk about it more in private, which would lead me to believe that maybe there was no actual apology sent yet if he's still talking about they need to speak in private. And this was just before the game.
Or he just needs to beat him up because he deserves a whooping for what he did.
Yes,
Absolutely.
he does. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
Hey, Joe, I mean, what's your take on Byron Scott not putting his arm around him? I know they have issues all year, or even Kobe Bryant keeping his distance. That seems a little strange to me for such a quote-unquote elder statesman leader.
Kobe keeping his distance to me is a little strange on a couple different accounts. Number one, for the cliche fact that he himself has been a dry snitch in the past.
Yes.
Snitch.
And I do realize
Snitches get stitches.
The Steven Jackson said that today too.
Yep,
I do realize we are talking about players who were at two different parts of their career when they had a snitching incident happen. But you would assume at least Kobe to put his arm around them, try to wall off him from the media and some fans who might be disappointed with him. But Kobe also, on the other hand, he's like Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon. He's ready to get out the door. Retirement's is on hand. Does he really want to get involved with this? Byron Scott, on the other hand, you would expect him as the head coach to show a little bit more leadership instead of hanging his 20-year-old rookie out there to dry.
Absolutely.
So what happens now to D'Angelo? I mean, obviously his trust, the trust on his teammates, even some of the players around the league have voiced something out about this.
Oh yeah, I mean, all NFL players, NBA players, everybody's been coming at him. I mean, some guys are more aggressive than others. A couple of them calling him a cornball and a coward and things like that. But right now, he just has a lot of fixing to do to his reputation with teammates and around the league in general. For his credit, he does seem pretty contrite about what happened. But again, I mean, you committed a no-no that is just almost unforgivable in bro code.
Hey, the way I look at it is Nick Young should be thanking D'Angelo Russell for making Iggy Azalea go away because she's a tough one to look at now. But really quick,
I want to ask Joe if I may. I just want to throw this in here because there are a lot of other instances in sports, whether it be basketball or baseball. I've kind of come across things where teammates do something that's very much in the backstabbing kind of nature. And this is not up there with, say, Tony Parker banging Brent Barry's wife, or we've seen kind of these kind of rumors come out of other players sleeping with certain people's wives. This seemed to get a lot more attention. Is that because there's some hard evidence to it? And where do you put this scandal up with, say, those other ones? Because I feel like those other ones, people have been able to get over that rather quickly.
Yeah,
they're forgivable. And that's really unforgivable. Sleeping with someone's wife and videotaping, two massively different things, yet they get away with it.
You're right. It's definitely because there's hard evidence there. Also, this is the age of social media. I can only imagine what would have happened if there was Twitter when Kobe was going through his incident back in Colorado.
Which I was on.
Shaq.
Oh,
I mean,
man, that would have been
it could have been enormous. But also, it's Los Angeles, and we're talking about a guy who's engaged to a pop star. I mean, if these were some of the players who didn't have the celebrity attached, maybe this isn't a big deal, but you're in La La Land, your rookie is doing big no-nos, and the other guy involved is engaged to a pop superstar, whether you want to call her that or not.
Well,
so here's my thing. How do you bounce back from a betrayal of this nature? You talked about earning trust. You talked about him being frozen out already. I mean, is this a case where the best play for Los Angeles is maybe we have to consider a future without this point guard? Because why would you want to play with this guy now? And how long until we sort of assume that he can be trusted again? Because this Laker locker room sounds like it's got some serious issues going on.
Sure, and they had issues even before this, but for the most part, I mean, if you're Russell, you just got to continue to show contrition for it, continue to actually let your actions back up with the words that you're saying, you're sorry and things like that. But on a number 2 pick in his rookie year, I don't think there's any way you even consider moving forward without him. And I mean, people in the media and fans alike, we all tend to sometimes overreact to controversies that a year from now we're not even speaking about because something else is taking its place. And if he can improve his play, especially over the next couple of years, I can see him being forgiven. But trusted, that I don't know.
All right.
Well,
listen, Joe, we're running out of time here. We got to thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. Of course, it is a big story, and like you said, it's a huge franchise that a lot of people follow. So this stuff is very much interesting. You want to throw out your Twitter account? I know it's up there on screen, but maybe for the people who download this on audio, where can people kind of get you and your material?
Sure, thanks, man. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at I am Joe Sports. Like Chris said in the intro, I do a lot of work for Inflex We Trust, and hoping to have some other sites coming in the future. But I am Joe Sports on Twitter and Instagram.
All right, make sure you follow.
Thanks, Joe.
Check him out.
Thanks,
Send
Joe.
him a tweet. Let him know what you think.
Sure.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
We'll definitely love to have you back if any more of these scandals come up, because he certainly seems to be very knowledgeable about these things.
Absolutely.
And on that note, we got to say our goodbyes as well. This is this episode with a little overtime, but in a good way. It's nice to kind of have a little extra time here. Speaking of social media as well, you can go ahead and follow everyone here around the room. I'll just do it quick so we can get out of here. Chris Savage, of course, is at Not Bill Walton. You can get Gino at Gino Ruffino. You can get Brad here at Backpack Pauler, and I am at DJ Mo Twister. We'll see you again next time for another episode of the Full Court Report. Till then, have a good night. Have a good week. Goodbye, everybody.